Okay, we now welcome on to the show recurring guest, good friend of the show, Andrew Bolt. Welcome back.
Recurring like a burp or something.
Yeah. It keeps reappearing despite the fact we keep trying to push it away. No, that's good. You're a good friend of the show, and we want to talk to you.
We do it because I come on your show, and the deal is you come on mine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
I didn't realise it was like that. I just thought that you were doing us a favour.
So this is all about me. This is all about increasing my clout. This is just flies towards my spider web, and then I'll use him to get ahead. It's Anyway,
nepotism is a wonderful thing, Pete.
Yeah, I know. It is.
All right.
It's not too bad.
So first off, Pete, you've been across me on Dad's show. You've been across Dad on this show. Who's interrupted who more when they're trying to frame an interview?
It's a really good contest.
Yes,
it's like I couldn't possibly say.
This is a reversal of fortune.
No, but mate, that's what fathers do.
Yes.
That's my job. Fathers interrupt. That's how it works.
I've got a full page of questions.
We've heard it all before.
I've had 3 words into it. We've been going for a full minute.
We're going for a minute.
All right, so let's a bit of decorum.
Yep.
Now, your article last week in the Herald Sun talking about climate change and talking about your advice to Scott Morrison and the bushfires caused a hell of a stir. And we want to talk about the reaction that it got. But I guess first off, in case people might have missed the article, what was your pitch?
Well, my pitch was quite simple. It was to bait a hook, say a few things at the top of the article that global warming believers chant as a mantra without actually knowing where the debate is. You know, that skeptics can actually say the same thing and they don't know it. So there's a false dichotomy. And that was like, I admit the world has warmed over the last 100 years. And I admit man's emissions might have something to do with it. And suddenly people like Eddie McGuire and David Pemberthy, journalists and commentators and crikey would go, Bolt has changed his tune, not knowing, that almost every skeptic says, yes, the world has warmed over the last 100 years slightly. Man's emissions may have something to do with it, or maybe probably not much, the fact that so many people thought that I was doing a backflip shows how ignorant they are about global warming. And I just wish that I'd baited that hook a little bit more and also said, I believe in global warming, which is the new mantra, I believe in global warming, which apparently to warming believers means not I believe in global warming, but I believe in global warming, but this is really, really different. And man's I believe in climate change. I believe in climate change, but this is really, really different, and man's all to blame, and it's going to be catastrophic, and we can do something about it, and we should ruin ourselves while doing it. Like, that's what they really mean. When I say, climate change is real or global warming is real, well, yes, there's been a slight warming over 100 years. Is man to blame? Maybe some small element. Is it bad? On the whole, it seems not bad. And should we do something about it? Well, the pain is probably not worth the gain.
So you're saying Greta Thunberg hasn't got to you? Because I did say that on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw Greta Thunberg. Well, they were saying James Murdoch got to me because he's... I was going to say something rude, but I better not. James Murdoch is...
Say it. We're not recording.
So
the
there's Rupert
microphones are
Murdoch,
off.
2 sons. The one, Lachlan is running the company. There's James is still on a board, and he said... put something in the papers the other day, or gave a quote. People in News Limited in Australia are skeptics, and this is terrible, and we're embarrassed and all that. I'm thinking, wow, how often does someone on the board of a company trash their own product and employees publicly? If an employee did that, they'd be sacked anyway. So I'm supposed to have changed my tune. Mm-hmm. Rubbish.
I think it speaks to something else. I think it's like bigger than global warming. It's just everyone only reads the headline these days. Like no one ever clicks through to read a full article. I'd be surprised if the people that booked you into Eddie McGuire's show probably hit the Herald Sun paywall and just made a guess of where the headline was going.
Well, I thought it was very funny because the producer rang me and said, Eddie would love to talk to you on his show about your change of mind. And I was about to correct him, and I thought, no, this will be fun.
Let's see where this goes.
Yes,
Come on. Where this goes.
And I think that's exactly right. But I think there's actually 2 points here, and that is, one is, yes, Eddie, like most journalists, probably only read the first couple of paragraphs and then read to the end,
If that.
End where I said, listen, I've said all this before. Listen, this is what I really mean. Blah, blah, give the game away. That's part of it. But the other thing is what I started off in a long-winded way of saying. I don't think many people in the media who preach the global warming doctrine actually know anything about what the debate is and what the science is. I don't think they mean it all. It's like that mantra, I believe in climate change. It's absolutely meaningless. So do I. Climate changes, up, down, climate always changes. Yes, I believe in climate change. It's one of those meaningless things. It's like saying, I believe in the world. Yeah, and,
here's a cookie.
What's the next bit,
Yeah.
So that's what I think. The debate is actually dumb, and it's on slogans, and it's like a catechism. I believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's all it is. And you don't know, and what's the rest, you know?
So with that, it's just, to me, it's also like, if you are concerned about climate change and your solution doesn't involve nuclear energy, then you're kidding yourself. Because,
I think so. I think you're right.
If it's not involving nuclear energy, if you're going for renewables or we just need to get rid of coal.
You're just jerking our train.
Yeah, and it's just the idea of like, at that point, it doesn't become about climate change anymore, because I think the reason people don't want nuclear, and maybe it is because of fear of Chernobyl or Fukushima, but I think it's more, if we go to nuclear, it's just a different level of billionaires at the top of society, and I don't think they want that. But if it's renewable and if it's government owned and it's this thing that no one can profit from, then it's more of a societal change than it is about.
Well, I'm not sure, because
warming
obviously green billionaires are profiting enormously.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they don't count because they're green.
Yeah, well, that's probably true. I think it's actually worse than that. I think it really is. This is what we've seen since the French Enlightenment, Rousseau and all that. This is really, let's get back to nature. It's that revolt against progress and development and all that. That's what it really is. They want a deindustrializing of society. They want this bizarre idea of, get really poor, live in a little hut, eat roots and leaves and be in harmony with nature, and it's a Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want to go back to the Garden of Eden. So that's what it's really about. And any technological solution like nuclear goes right against that. But I think you're right. What I find really interesting here is we actually have, with that particular debate, a conflict of where we had one religious spasm, totally anti-scientific about nuclear power, colliding with the next one, or next one but a couple, global warming, where the same sets of ignorance and mass panic collide with the others, so that the solution to this problem can't be embraced because of the hype about the first. Now, you mentioned Chernobyl. The known death toll at Chernobyl was fewer than 100 people. Yet that is seen, the extrapolations have been extraordinary. 250,000 dead, the Australian Conservation Foundation, Peter Garrett, the former Environment Minister. So all that hype. You mentioned Fukushima, not a single known death from nuclear radiation, not a single known health consequence from nuclear radiation. That is from an older plant that was hit first by a massive earthquake, then by a tsunami.
Yeah.
Everything thrown
That
at
happens all the time in rural SA. So if we are going to build a nuclear power plant, we do need to worry about the earthquake and tsunamis that can hit rural SA.
Simultaneously. It's just, and that on an area with fault lines, Australia doesn't have that. It's just extraordinary, the hype built against a couple, that. I mean, we've seen people like Helen Caldicott in the media saying, well, we've got to cancel the Japanese Olympics, obviously. Not a single person has died. You probably get run over by a car in downtown Tokyo. That's a far bigger chance, It's so extraordinary. So you've got the hype there where Australia won't even contemplate nuclear, which is why we're now getting dud subs instead, and won't contemplate the solution to global warming, which is, if you really believe in it, I mean, I don't think makes much difference, go to nuclear power. You'll have emissions-free baseload power and relatively cheap to power our economy. What's the problem here?
Now, you mentioned briefly your interview with Eddie McGuire. That made quite a splash. My friends, a couple of them messaged me about it who are not political, or if they are political or left-wing. Talk us through that. I heard a rumour that you and Eddie McGuire actually got on usually. Is that correct?
No.
That's not correct.
Eddie likes to...
I'll tell you where I got that rumour from. John Roscombe.
Tell me that. Where'd you get that from?
John Roscombe, Executive Director of the IPA.
Am I going to contradict John Roscombe? I'll never contradict. Yes, House on Fire has been to my place. I've been his. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
Look, we're always civil to each other when we talk in public, which has been about like twice.
Yeah. And the most recent one was not as civil as usual. I think we actually have an excerpt.
That's right, we do.
My point is this: is that, and this you might say that I'm left of extreme right. I'm probably more in the centre.
No, you're not left of extreme right. You're left of left.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Look, Eddie, you support Labor, okay?
No, I don't. That is completely untrue, Andrew. But you just said people get put in boxes. You're trying to put me
I'm the right of Attila the Hun. So
well, I tell you what, in a court of law, I reckon I'd win that argument. But anyway, stick with it. Andrew.
Well, yeah, that didn't go terribly well for one of us.
So when did you know that was going off the rails? At what point in the interview were like, this is...
I knew before I went on air.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean... When, as you know, I was going to say Gemma, but I'm not allowed to say that. As you know, James.
Still said it.
Says it every interview, which I love. I think it adds something.
I think the last time I was on the Bolt Report, you actually said, all right, Gemma. Like the first thing you said, I was like, all right, we're
done, Gemma. Gemma. As you know, I've been in the wars.
That's our social media excerpts, Dave, by the way.
Yeah.
Are you going to edit that bit out? Okay.
That's a gift.
Now we're going to use it.
40 years, in Colorado, how long have I done it? 25 years?
Yeah,
something like that. 25 years-ish. I've been in the wars, as you know, and I know I better protect myself. I rehearse what's going to come now, and so not much surprises me. Even an attack in the street no longer surprises me. I rehearsed that, you know.
Yeah, you paid them.
Yeah. So I rehearsed that if you do that, you get a punch in the head. But with this, like, I knew it was coming, and so I knew it was going to go off the rails the minute they asked me on the show. The key was how I was going to make it, how I was going to play it, whether it was going to be nice. But Eddie started off aggressive, so he got back exactly what I'd rehearsed.
Yeah, exactly. The ride of Attila the Hun was the
ride of Attila the Hun. Look, so Eddie says,
there we go.
Rite of Attila the Hun. Have you played that?
Yes. We have now.
Yeah. Because just to let you know the clues, he told me he was running. You've seen the clip. We didn't know. I didn't know what clip he was going to run. I didn't hear it because it's done in post-production. How about that?
It's real peek behind the curtain for listeners.
Yeah. Look,
peek behind the shoddy.
And if I stand up when I do the show on Sky, you will see I'm wearing jeans underneath the.
Okay, but fair enough, I wasn't told the questions from the last time I was on the Bolt Report until about 3 minutes before we went to work.
I'd actually sent them to you, but maybe to a wrong address.
I think to a wrong address. I was like, what are we talking about?
Just contemplating I'm going on the Bolt Report. Anyway, that's true, and you did very well. Attila the Hun, so the Attila the Hun bit. I don't get this. To the right of Attila the Hun, I am not. As I said, I've worked a couple of times for Labor, and that's
so did Attila the Hun.
But Attila the Hun, what are Attila the Hun's politics? Has anyone actually figured them out? As far as I could tell, when it came to immigration,
big on immigration.
Borders, huge on immigration, very bad on national borders.
Didn't like empires.
Let them all in, or in his case, let us all in. It was big. Well, that's to the right. What was it? I don't understand what his. He was very big on multiculturalism. He said, you can have your culture, but I'm coming in with mine.
Hey, I will rule all over I will rule plenty of cultures. That's his idea.
Plenty of cultures.
What about economics? Laissez-faire?
Laissez-faire, absolutely.
There's no regulation.
As far as I understand, Pete, he was a communist, wasn't he? Like, what's yours is mine.
Yeah, that's right. Collective ownership.
Collective ownership.
So maybe
you did it to each according to his needs. I need your money. I think Attila the Hun was probably a raging lefty.
Anyway, I think the point of it is...
And he was very good on mass slaughter. We know that's a
What policy, which political party supports that?
Communism.
Fair enough.
Nazis, far left.
Yeah. All right, so I think the lesson from this is read the full article before you bring.
Read the full
someone
article
on your show.
and know who Attila the Hun was.
And know who Attila the Hun was. They're the two keys to make it in the, as a modern
Absolutely.
journalist.
History is dead, I'm afraid. Eddie, learn your history.
Well, I've got a third takeout from that.
What?
Because I didn't realise that I knew Eddie was Labor, but I didn't think he'd be so lefty on energy stuff. I reckon he spent too much time in Toorak because he's originally from Broady, right? No one from Broady would think those stupid things about electricity. So do you think it's time for Eddie to move back to Broady to get his head around?
Back to Broady. I like that idea. I like the idea of maybe putting the ABC back to Broady.
Yeah, that could work too.
And in Sydney, where would you put it? Liverpool.
Yeah.
Get in touch with the mob.
Yeah.
You know, I agree. You sort of go with the flow. You stick it where everyone thinks the same and you think the rest of the Australia doesn't exist. I mean, like with the ABC, they did that little expedition earlier this year. It's not the first time they've done it.
Yeah.
You know, where we'll take the staff out to suburban Australia. You know, except they picked Bankstown, which is like as representative of Australia. So I don't know, you know. Anyway, so they go on expeditions with their pith helmets and their backpacks and their tents to go and see average Australians. Why don't they stick the whole headquarters there and they don't need to do that? They can see it every day on their way to work.
Yeah, put it in Toowoomba. Regional Australia.
Oh, I love that.
Be a long way to go for interviews and stuff.
And then you save on the real estate. You know, you can sell the real estate in inner Sydney, inner Melbourne.
Yep.
I mean, inner Melbourne, they're right next to the city square in Melbourne. Good money. They could sell that. Go and get, next Housing Commission property, maybe in Dandenong.
Yep.
You know, save a lot of money. Go and see the real Australia, and maybe they wouldn't be so out of touch. But
Dad working
Eddie.
from the definitely economic perspective of doing this. That's what
what's wrong
attracts
with
you to
that?
it.
Save the public a mozza.
I think like the economic side is just like sort of heightened because it's more cultural. It's like, oh, we'll save money, but that's not really the reason.
Well, both. Well, save taxpayers' money is not bad, but I agree. I mean, if you had to catch the train out to Dandy or to Liverpool every day as an ABC staffer, you might be a little bit more in touch with what the public's talking about.
Sure.
And you might go these whole trips out to Liverpool, the whole trip, to Dandenong, and you listen to the people around you, you probably figure not one of them is talking global warming.
I've never not had my headphones on in a train. So I think they'll still remain in their bubble.
Or at dinner at home. No.
All right, I want to switch things up here. So we just had the New Hampshire primaries yesterday.
Yep.
Now, do you see any of the Democrats being able to beat Trump? Is there a single person out there?
Not yet, but I didn't call Trump's victory last time. So, you can now fast forward through the rest. But don't forget, these contests have momentum of their own, where someone that you thought 2 weeks ago you didn't think Buttigieg was going anywhere. Now suddenly it's one of the two front runners, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, and then Klobuchar pulls 20% out of nowhere.
Exactly right. And as they go, they get attention. People look at how they're handling the heat. They introduce themselves. Suddenly they look credible. Then you start listening, and suddenly you've got a viable candidate. They happen to Bill Clinton out of nowhere, right? But then through the process, it's a long process, they gain some credibility. So the elections are still 9 months away. Trump's popularity is still not great. It's not great. So you've got to acknowledge that. He won by a whisker last time, really. So you can't take anything for granted. If the economy tanks over the next 9 months or he makes some stuff up and who knows, yes, of course someone can beat him. So we don't know. At this stage, I'd rather be him than the Democrats.
For sure. I don't see anyone at the moment. And I don't think like Mayor Bloomberg's the guy that's coming over the hills to save him. I don't think he's got it.
Well, you look, Bernie Sanders, right, who's the front runner right now. Is America really ready to elect a socialist? Seriously? With all the plans that it's got and with the economy going as it is, that's a pretty easy pitch for Trump.
And something that's on the back burner. He's like 6 months apart from a heart attack.
Well, people don't notice that until they drop dead of that heart attack on the debate stage. I don't think that quite.
I just think that might come back. Where you're just like, how healthy is this guy?
Well, that might be.
Does Trump have a nickname for him?
Not Crazy Bernie.
Crazy Bernie.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he'll refine that.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting. You think about it, Pete. Like a year ago, not even a year ago, say 6 months ago, people were really talking. The pundits were really talking. The big threats are Biden and Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trump got his gun And he went
Metaphorically.
for Biden.
Yeah.
So, dragged him into, and the Democrats helped him. I mean, the hatred of the Democrats kills them. They call that this whole, they pulled this whole impeachment stunt where the answer was, well, look, the reason, they said, how can you pressure Ukraine into doing an investigation of Joe Biden? Well, the reason is, have you seen what him and his son were up to in Ukraine? So Biden's gone. Yeah. So Biden got rid of. He's sinking. And then as for Elizabeth Warren, he made her the butt of his, she's a fake
Pocahontas.
She's a Pocahontas, the fake American Indian. And, of course, her credibility is absolutely rubbish. How can you elect a president for years, decades, pretended she was an American Indian and got preferment out of that? I mean, it's just a disgrace. So she's out too. I don't think he's actually begun to fight Sanders yet.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
Yeah, I don't reckon that nickname has the same cut through as the other ones.
I think he's going to work on that. I agree with you.
So he might have to.
I actually have a question for Pete without notice. So we're talking about Mayor Pete Buttigieg as someone that might be viable. Buttigieg.
No one knows how to pronounce it. Even Americans. I was listening today to some of the American broadcasters. 3 or 4 variants on it.
Yeah, all right. Well,
that's why I call himself Mayor Pete. I think everyone can handle that.
That brings me to my point. Is America ready for a Pete to be at the top office? What does a Pete bring into the role?
Have there been any Peter? There must have been a Peter at some point.
I don't think there's been a Pete.
The problem is there's a Peter principle. Everyone thinks of that, don't they?
What's that?
The Peter principle. People for the ethical treatment of animals?
No. The Peter principle is where you promote someone beyond the level of their expertise.
That's about right.
Named after this Pete.
They must have said a picture.
So what can a Pete bring to the top position?
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
It's not an Andrew principle yet, but you can invent one to get back at me.
Yeah, well, I can. I'll think about it. Yeah, look, we all know, apart from that Peter is the rock that God built his church on.
Yep.
So
that's a very
I am
good
the
one.
rock of the IPA.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Mayor Pete is the rock of America.
There we go.
I like that. That's good. That sings. I've got another question. It's not just, is America ready on Sanders, to elect a socialist? When it comes to Mayor Pete, the real question is America ready to, I guess, hire a guy of no experience who's gay? And I'm not sure that America... But then we didn't think America was ready to elect a president who was black. So,
and also America elected a president who's a TV game show host. I think America's ready for
precedents?
anything.
What are precedents anymore?
Like, you want to believe in the American dream? Literally anyone can be president, including television game show hosts.
I've got another precedent for you. Is America ready to elect a president whose name they can't pronounce?
Let me run it back.
Lincoln, that was pretty
Lincoln's
easy.
Pretty
Trump
easy.
is easy.
Gerald Ford's pretty easy.
Ford is dead easy. Nixon
They're all
is
pretty
easy.
Nixon. All right, I'm going to have to
Reagan was a little trouble. Reagan.
William Polk, that's just a weird name.
Yeah. Jackson.
I've never heard of them.
This is like 1800s.
Jefferson.
This is going right back.
I'm impressed.
All these guys are pretty easy. And along comes a guy whose name is what is that guy? Mayor Pete.
That was a 90s breakdown right there.
Will this guy be the first president whose name no one can pronounce?
We will see. All right. Now, Pete, you've got something you want to end the show with.
Yes, that's right. Now, look, I've worked with James for a while now, and we've done the show. We're almost up to 150 episodes. I've noticed a few
About to turn 3 years old.
Yeah.
This podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About to turn 3 years old.
I think it's a great show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I've noticed a few personality traits about James, and I thought you as his dad might know where they came from. Quite up and down.
This is ominous. This is ominous.
Now, we are very good friends, Pete and I. We shouldn't preface that up the top.
I think you should have made that clear before the show started.
It was quite funny. I sent him the questions and I had a couple of characteristics, and he actually added a couple of negative characteristics I might want to ask about. So that's telling as it is. Anyway, very up and down. This is the best show of all time. This is the worst show of all time. I'm the greatest man in the world. I am human pond scum. Where'd that come from?
Half of that, the bit, this is the worst show in the world. Oh my God, what have I done? That's from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
The best bit, I'm pretty good. I'm red hot. That's from his mother.
Oh, so mum's more
True or
positive.
not?
Yeah, I go through the motions. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I'll ride the energy of what I thought of the show was for like a week.
Ask his mother how good he is.
Okay, so she'll give. And so you're like James. No, you've got a lot of work to do.
No, I don't criticize. I don't think his show is bad. I think when I perform badly,
Yep.
harder on myself than anyone, and ask James.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. I would say I'm the same.
Well, that's been revealed.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think you're too negative on sometimes. And I think it's great that your mother has added the optimism balance. But really, sometimes there's a middle ground between that and that.
Yeah, once I find it, that'll be a great day.
Once I find it, I'll join you in
If you
that.
can tell me where it is, the first one to locate it has to tell the other one.
I'm
That's
the worst
our
person to
pact.
ask for guidance, as you know.
All right, quite opinionated. Where'd that come from? I wonder.
Look, in part that's because we're both paid to be opinionated, as are you.
Okay.
And if you weren't paid to be opinionated, and nor I, we'd probably have half the opinions that we normally have.
Really?
Well, because you are. We're asked, what's your opinion on a particular topic? You hadn't even read it in the papers, so
Yeah,
you
that's
quickly
true.
read it, you form an opinion. Normally you wouldn't do that, would you?
That's true.
I
Exactly.
have a habit
Bummer.
of like I read a headline and I'll just be like, I don't care about this. But then you read the article and you're like, hang on. It's
like his
wait,
article.
no, I picked, wait a minute.
It's like Eddie's producer.
I think what maybe is inherited, I've got 3 kids. 2 of them look Dutch, him and his brother. One looks more like their mother from the Irish sort of bit.
This is a kind of multiculturalism.
But she's the only
it's
one
all
who's
the
got
humbug.
the Dutch vibe going. He doesn't. And yet, there's a word in Dutch that speaks to what you're saying. It's not about opinionated. It's called eigenwijs, which literally translated means
I think you
own
just
way.
sneezed.
Your own way. Pig-headed is another way of putting it. You will not be told to think this when you think that, and you know you're
That
right.
rings a bit true, doesn't it, Pete?
I may have experienced that over the time.
Yeah,
But
but I suspect you're a bit the same, aren't you? You will not go with the crowd.
Sometimes.
Just because it's the crowd.
Sometimes I find myself disagreeing with someone because someone told me I couldn't do it or something. And then I'm like, well, hang on.
See, this.
Don't tell me what to do,
Hey,
mate.
am I allowed to have another go at Eddie, or are we?
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, we've gone like heaps over, but that's all right.
Oh, you can cut the boring bits.
Yeah.
Eddie McGuire, right? I think Eddie McGuire done extremely well. Extremely well. Tries to, and go back to the first question, which I never got to answer because I distracted myself.
I think we
Eddie
got to
McGuire.
about 2 of the 15 questions
Yeah,
we had prepared.
Eddie McGuire, very successful.
Yep.
Actually tries to hide, and you find few traces, his Labor sympathies.
Yep.
I think it's bloody obvious, but so he gets really upset when you think you've found him. How could you tell that I'm a Labor supporter? The thing is, I think Eddie's more a go with the flow kind of guy, and that's why he's totally unprepared with an argument about global warming. He just heard someone say it and he goes with it.
Well, that was
and I
his
think
argument,
that's
wasn't it?
different from the way perhaps I operate, which is like this is
I didn't notice.
this is the way I see it. And if you're going to tell me James Murdoch says I shouldn't think it, or Greta Thunberg says you're wrong, what? That's going to change my mind? Someone else's opinion? No. You give me a fact, and I might, but not an opinion.
Yeah, well, but Eddie's whole argument was, who cares if it's right? Business is doing it anyway. That was his thing.
Well, what? So I suddenly got to change the facts because people have given in? No.
There you go. Eddie McGuire would go with the flow
That's why
character.
one of the first to be put up against the wall and shot come the revolution.
And that's as good a place to end it as anywhere. So, Andrew, thank you very much for coming back on the show.
You got to come on mine.
Yes.
Thanks, Andrew.